Y'all already know what it is. Your boy Yaakov, what it do? The outlet to reality, the holders podcast in Vegas and Chicago. What up? This is the place where you want to hide from your drama or maybe hide from your baby mama. Aha, just kidding. But anyways, fans, thank you for staying tuned. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Cha-ching! And today we have a very, very special guest, one of my favorite cousins in New Jersey. Give it up for Roxana. What's up, girl?
Hey.
I'm so
What a
happy.
pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. I mean, I've been seeing that you've been posting these podcasts forever, and I see the type of people that you be having on. I'm like, wow, like, you're really coming far. So when you asked me, it was such a privilege, and thank you. Thank you so much for this.
Of course, girl. I mean, you special. You know, you have a special part in my heart, and you got that Guatemalan vibe, so I had to bring it out. You know what I'm saying?
You know, you know.
Oh man. Well, I do want to share a story for my fans that don't know. So growing up, I used to go to New Jersey a lot and on the weekend, and I was really young. I remember one time I went for 3 days and I had an essay paper I had to get done by Monday. And I got there and I didn't know how strict my cousin was. I get there, I'm thinking we get to slide and just, play video games. The PlayStation 2 was big at that time. And my paper, by the way, was about prejudice, about I was trying to persuade people that how you dress is how people are going to treat you, right? And I remember my cousin was in the other room and she was doing her work. She does the accounting and she was, doing business. I kept interrupting. I kept going in every 5 minutes. Hey, cuz, I got a question. And you give me that look. And I was like, oh, snap, I'm in trouble. You're like, David, I want you to stay there in the living room and write the paper. Think about it. You already brainstorm. You already have all the stuff you need. You got to put it together. When you finish, you come back. I said, all right, cuz I came back 5 minutes later. I ain't gonna lie. I came back and you were so mad. David, what I tell you, go back in the living room and finish that paper. I said, all right, cuz I'm sorry. I get distracted. And so, you know what? I stayed there and I literally start typing, right? And I was doing it. No interruptions now. I was focused. And I finally finished. I needed to get like I think 7 pages, and I did. I went to see my cousin, and she's like, "Look, now I could tell you're focused because you did the set. You focus. You did your 7 pages. Now I can check your grammar. Now I can see if it makes sense. You see, you didn't just type a couple words." And I'll never forget that because we have a saying in our family that if we're tough on you, it's because we care. If my cousin was soft and it's like, oh, you're doing a great job, continue it, don't worry about it, I wouldn't feel like wanting to accomplish my essay or I guess do better. And as a result, I did get an A when I got back. My professor's like, I don't know how you came up with it. You sound smart. And I said, well, my cousin, she pretty much mentored me, right? It helped me and coached me. And I felt like I needed that extra push. But that's just a small story I wanted to share. And what about you, cuz?
Oh man, I couldn't help but like chuckle as I was hearing you, go through that story because I remember it vividly. And when you told me, let's think about a story, whatever, about, you and I in the past, that one did not come to my mind. But as you started, sharing, I'm like, oh my God, I remember it vividly. Now, let's see, from my end, a story about you that definitely did stand out. But I also remember you when you were really little. I remember because when I was younger, I used to go to Chicago all the summers, every summer. So I pretty much grew up over there for my summer breaks. And I remember when you were a baby and you were always like, one of the things that has always marked me about you is how you've always been so happy. You've been a very like chuckly person, always just having a good time with everything ever since you were little. So, it's funny because when I think about that phase of you and how, today you are still you're enjoying everything that you're doing. You're enjoying life. You don't let things, get at you. So it's so awesome to see that you haven't let the reality of the outlet that's out there get to you, because it hasn't taken away who you are. So like, I could think of different moments with you, but I don't know, something that's marked me about you is I remember you being so little and just having the biggest smile on your face. You had the rosiest cheeks, and it's been an awesome time with you every time that, we get to share with you. But I love how you brought that story up, because that one it was true. It's so deep. You said it on point, how how it went.
Oh man, no, thank you, cuz that was a beautiful story. I feel like, in life, anything that was memorable, we cherish, we hold on to it, and
Yeah.
I always gonna appreciate that, and I'm always gonna take that with me. And now I love writing papers. Like I'm writing I'm trying to put this story out so I could be on the newspaper. And I feel like, the things you shared, and it stayed with me. So I still have it, and I'm grateful. And Prima, I want to ask you, so my fans to get to know you a little bit, tell us a little bit about your background, your hobbies, and what school you came from.
So I grew up from like, I think I would say from pre-K all the way through college. I've been going to like a Christian Catholic type of school. So I've always had somewhat of a faith-based behind me. And the reason I bring that up, because that has a lot to do with who I am. So but I'll get more to that part. So let's see. I'm a mother of three, beautiful blessings. I've been through different phases, going through school, going through college, working while being in college. Everything was new to me. My parents, they had no clue if I was going to school, if I wasn't, if I had homework, if I didn't, if I was graduating or not. Like, they had like zero idea what was going on with my education. But I mean, it's something that I take a moment to just praise God for that, because I have no idea, but I made it. And I just thank God that I stuck through it. So many things can come at you in life, and you can easily want to just take the easier route. But I'm so glad, I'm so thankful that I was able to just stick it through. And it is hard when you don't have that support. Not that my parents didn't want to support me, they just didn't know how. So I think that's something that we have the privilege, we have that blessing, that we know that this is part of us. So now, later on in the future, we can help others out. We can give that support to each other, which is why I was hard on you, like you said, because, I got to give that tough love. No, but so yes, I'm a mother of three, two boys and then a girl. And they keep me so busy, but I'm also that's my 24/7 job. But then my other job, I'm also a tax accountant, consultant. I work for a company, but I also do the work on the side. So if you guys need any, help in setting up your business, helping you set up, your financials or something, anything like that, especially your taxes. So that's where, my niche is just making sure that we get those taxes paid, that we set you up with, with the good, just getting you organized to be ready to, do what you have to do with Uncle Sam, because there's no way around it. There's one thing in life that you can't mess with, and that's with taxes, especially if you want to live a good life later on, because, you want to have that good, background with the IRS. So that's what I do on the side. But now my hobbies, what I also do in my other time is I'm very involved with my church. So I love, between helping out the little ones and getting them acclimated with their faith, and, just spending some time with them, to also helping out other families. Like all of this, me being able to have gone to school and all, I feel, again, it's been a privilege for me that I can also share all these skill sets that I've acquired and pass them over to other people, to other parents who are going through that stage with their children. So, that's something that I feel, to be able to give back to the community, to just to, you know, everyone around, to give back to the world. That's, you know, what is in my heart, you know, at all times. Something that I've learned is that each one of us have different skill sets. Your skill set, you know what you have, and I don't have that. But that doesn't mean that I'm less or you're less. But when we work together, man, like, you know, we're astronomical. So, you know, it's so important that we learn to work together as a team. And, you know, whatever I can provide you to help you succeed, then you know what, then that's awesome, because that's what I'm meant to be here for, that, you know, to give you, you know, whatever to help you out. So I don't know. I guess when I was younger, I was like a very introverted person. So I wasn't so like you would never see me here in this type of, you know, scenery, not like you. But again, you know, I've learned to become so grateful to life that, you know, there's so much that you can't keep it to yourself. You know, you got to give it out there. You got to show others that that life really is beautiful. Yes, we're going through challenges. Yes, you know, there are hard times, but all of that makes us better. All of that makes us better for, you know, later on. So that's a little bit about me. I don't know if you want me to hit on any certain points.
No, I love that. I wanted to pick on something. So for my fans don't know, my cousin is the first generation from our entire Guatemalan family in the U.S. to actually graduated from a 4-year college. She got her bachelor's, and to be honest with you, when I was young, I wasn't sure I wanted to go to college. I was telling my cousin I was thinking about working at FedEx so I could get that package I've been waiting for. You see, and I wanted to just go straight to work, but to be honest, you know, seeing my cousin, you know, having that ambition, that wanting to succeed in life and to do something different, I loved it. And you know, when I went to college, I'm going to be honest, you know, same situation, similar. Both of my parents didn't go to college here in America, so I was kind of lost. I had to rely on my mentors who were around me to help me find that, you know, that passion. Where I have to go to sign up for classes, get scholarships. And Prima, I want to ask you, when you were going through college, right, your freshman year, did you have any mentors you could remember around you growing up?
Yes. So I had, I would say, two mentors, one within school and one outside of school. One was my family, was my uncle, mi tío Beto. You know, his support, he had never gone through college or high school, or I don't even think he went through grammar school, maybe the first year or two, but that loving moral support, to have that was part of my foundation. Now this is really like crazy, because one of the things I remember is when he would tell me, and this is what to me is so special, when someone comes at you and says certain words to you about you, and like pretty much like prophesizing about who you are going to be, who you're meant to be. And he said to me, he's like, Roxana, he's like, you're going to get so far in life. He's like, you know, because I guess I wasn't able to visualize myself, like, you know, making it far, like graduating, whatever. I'm like, you really think I want to graduate? Like, this is so much work. I don't think I can do it. He's like, Roxana, he's like, you're gonna make it. You're gonna be so proud about yourself. And you're gonna achieve everything you want. You're gonna reach those, like, you know, financial goals that you have. I'm like, really? Like, I was like astonished, because I'm like, you believe in me like that? So it's really deep, because it's so crazy how one person to say just those few words marked me so much. And that showed me that, hey, you know, if he marked me just that one time saying those few words, how could we not do that with others? You know, like, hey, yeah, I made it here, but so can you. You know, yes, you know, like all I could do is share with you my experiences, share with you, you know, what could possibly happen, but it's all going to work out as long as we don't give up. So that was my number one mentor. Then the other one was in high school. Her name is Sister Regina O'Connell. I don't know if she's still around, but she was a very pivotal person in my growth, transitioning from high school to college. And I really think that had I not had her in my life, I probably would have just blown whatever opportunities there were. Because, like you said, I needed someone as well to help me with the, filling out applications, thinking, what are the possibilities I could have, where can I apply to? I probably would have just applied to a local community college. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you can take it a little further, why not try it? Go for it. And so all those things I wasn't aware of, but she brought that to the table for me, and she helped me. Like, she did everything that I know I'll be doing with my kids when that time comes. And so I'm forever grateful to have that person. And that was one of the reasons why when I was growing up, I wanted to be a guidance counselor, because I saw how essential a guidance counselor is to people's lives and to get them, to be someone later on in the future. So those were my top two mentors, I would say. And of course, as I proceeded and grew in life, there were others, but those are the ones that kind of helped me like transition from an adolescent stage to, a more mature stage.
Wow, that's beautiful. I have to share a story with Tio Beto. I just remember I have to share it. So for those who don't know, Tio Beto was very tall. He was like probably 6'2", one of the tallest people that I know in our family. And I'm gonna be honest with you, he stayed with my mom and I in this small little apartment, right? And we ain't gonna lie, every bed we bought, they broke. Like, my brother was too big, it just kept breaking. And my mom was scared. It's wood. My mom used to say it's wood. No, it's metal. We need a metal bed. You know what I'm saying? And I said, Mom, the metal don't work. The metal ain't gonna make a difference. And so growing up, I remember one time Tio Beto, he used to love chicharrones, which is, for those who don't know, he loved eating those chips that were pork.
Pork rinds.
Yeah, and that was his favorite. He had to have it. And we'll watch the movie The Mummy, which is his favorite movie growing up. And so we'll watch it together, and he'll eat like 4 bags already. And those bags are pretty big, I ain't gonna lie. And so when it was time for us to go to the doctor, right? And Theo, it's too funny. Tio Beto goes, "Hey, look, don't say anything I eat." And so I understand this time I was young. I was 10 years old, but I could see the truth. So the doctor goes, "So, Tio Beto, what have you been eating?" Vegetables, carrots, and broccoli. That's what he said. And I said, as a little kid, I said, "Tio Beto, that's not the truth. You just had a whole bag of chicharrones yesterday. And you, and you had 4 patties last night. You have 4 patties and extra bread." And Tio Beto, look at me. "Don't say, cállate. Don't say nothing, okay?" I said, "I'm sorry, Tio Beto, but I gotta tell him the truth. The doctor's here to help us, And so the doctor, he kept looking at both of us. He wanted to laugh, right? So he goes, "David, so what else does Tio Beto eat? Because as we know, he don't eat carrots and broccoli." I said, "He does if they're grilled." And I never forget that. And I had so many good memories with Tio. But I remember one time, I came from school, right? And Tio Beto's like, "You want me to make you something?" And I had a bad day. I ain't gonna lie, I had a bad day. And Tio Beto's like, "You want me to make you some beans and eggs?" I said, "Tio Beto, I'm tired of eating eggs and beans. I don't want to eat another eggs and beans." And so what I do was, because I had a rough day, I grabbed the maruchan, which is the chicken noodle soup, right? As everybody knows. I put it in the microwave without water. It burned the entire microwave. There was smoke all over. And then Theo was like, "What did you do with the maruchan?" I said, "Theo Beto, I didn't think any water. I thought the microwave provided the water." So Theo Beto's laughing. He's like, "We're trying to take out the smoke. The little fire detector goes, making noise." Yeah. And we're coughing, we're laughing. My mom comes home, she's like, "Man, it stinks in the apartment." And Tio Beto goes, "Tu hijo, I don't know what to tell you. he burned the place. And I started laughing. But honestly, I gotta admit, Prima, I'm so glad you said Theobeto. He is one of the most funny, loving people I've ever met. Because even though I burned the place, almost half burned the place, he still loved me. He was, he always, and I ain't gonna lie. There's one thing that Theo Beto did I love. He gave the best massages to this day. Ain't nobody do it better than him. He had that pressure right there. And yeah, and I was like, yo, Theo, but I feel better now. I don't feel stressed. He said, all right, good job. You know what I'm saying? But
It's
honestly,
funny you say that because for me, and this is me getting a little bit emotional about it. This was not part of the script at all. But like you said, he definitely was very loving. And that's the part that makes me like so like a little like sentimental because when you're going through your teenage years, you're going through those stages, like you don't know what you don't know from left from right, you don't know anything. And if there was something that I always felt certain of was his love and care for me, and his belief in me, like I said. And so it was that's why like it's so special, when we bring him up because I probably didn't hear during my youth stage, I probably didn't hear those words, I love you or I care about you enough from, my parents or from my elders or anything, but I did hear it from my uncle really, frequently. And it's like those words were there when I needed them there. And so, again, I think all of that is part of what has formed me who I am today. Like you ask anyone around me, I'm constantly telling them I love them and I care about them. Like I show it, I express it because I know how good it makes someone feel. I know how whole it makes someone feel to express that care and affection to the other. And so for me, that's why like it's so deep to mention it because he was like a father figure for me, and it was just so special. And I'm so happy that we had that privilege to have him in our lives when we did, and that he was able to mark us. But yeah, it's he was very intense, very intense.
oh, Prima, that's great. Now, I do want to ask you something. This is a big thing. I'm very curious to know. So for those who don't know, my cousin, also being the first to graduate from college, she's also the first family member to marry outside the race. She married a guy from India, beautiful guy. I ain't gonna lie, he's awesome. His name's Krishna, my brother out there. I do gotta share a story real quick with Krishna. I have to do it. When I first met him, he came. You just had your first baby. Robert was already grown up, but you had another baby,
Yeah.
and we came. You guys came from Chicago, and it's the first time I meet Christian. I was like, "Hi, man, he seemed like a cool guy. He's very smart, using big vocabularies." I was trying hard to keep up with him. You know what I'm saying? I had to bring my dictionary everywhere I went because he knew too much. And, you know what I'm saying? And so, Krishna, I said, "Brother, you want to watch a horror movie together?" He's like, "Yeah, let's go." So we watched the movie Conjuring. Conjuring just came out. My brother got so scared, he jumped in my bed. He was freaking out. Yeah, he jumped in my bed, and I had two beds. Okay, he jumped on my bed, and I'm like, "Bro, you act like you're my brother." He jumped in. He covered himself. He's like, "Is the demon gone? Is it still there?" Because I'm scared. And I started laughing. I said, "Christian, you never seen the horror movie?" He's like, "I don't watch that kind of stuff, but you made me watch it, so I'm already here." You know what I'm saying? And so I never forget that. And I was like, man, this guy is a cool brother. I love him. I love his spirit. And just to see that he has that like that youth in him still, like he has that playfulness, like he really good guy to talk to. And I'm gonna be honest, there's one moment I never forgot. He was coaching, giving a lesson to one of my family members at the house living there at the time, Danielito. And he tells him, "Daniel, do you want to be the person that spends all his money to parties, right? And you throw everything away, or you want to be that person that's responsible and saves that money for his empire or school. And I love that because till this day, my cousin never forgot that teaching. He always brings that up. And I feel like Krishna has that, how you say, he's very wise. I'm trying to say the words very wise. And I never forget that.
Yeah, we got to up our vocabulary, when we talk about.
Yeah, I gotta watch out, say he's behind the camera. He's behind the camera. And I love it. Right. Oh man. But Prima, one thing I want to ask you is, how did you guys meet? That's one of the biggest questions that everybody wants to know. How you guys meet, and how did you guys end up marrying? Those are the two big ones.
All right. So the way we met was really interesting. I was going through a phase in my life where I was closing a chapter. And, so I was going through my process, and I was working at this accounting firm. And so I had just joined the accounting firm in February, I believe it was. And he was already in that same accounting firm, but in India. And he was in this city called Hyderabad. So we connected. The way that we met is that we connected by from my location. I was in Princeton, New Jersey. I had an assignment with the team out there in India. And so there was a group of people. He was a staff. I think I was a senior at the time. Yeah, I was a senior. He was a staff. And so I was connecting with his senior and his manager. And then he was supposed to be part of the team that worked with me on getting the project done. So I was here in Jersey, he was in India, and the way that we connected is that so I had sent an email to the team asking, or I think it was like the team. I'm like, hey guys, does anyone have a sample letter that I could use, because I need it for something that we had to give to the IRS. So I figured, the people in India, they had already worked on a lot of things. So maybe they had a resource that I could use. So he came along. He's like, yeah, sure. He sent it my way through email. And I looked at it. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Because what happened was that I read through it and I saw some grammatical errors to it. So I'm like, you know what? Let me fix this up a little bit and I'll send it back. So that's what I did. I appreciated the resource he gave me. So I took it, I fixed it up, and then I sent it. And I said, hey, thank you for sending this to me. So I fixed it a bit. So I'm, sending it to you if you want to have it, fixed. And I think that was one of the things that he said, that, like, he was like, wow, like that was really nice of someone to take their time to fix something that they had asked for. So that kind of broke the ice between us, because, we were just colleagues. We were just, like, I would say, all right, can we please get this done? And, they would take care of it. But that kind of broke the ice for us to start building a friendship. And that's what was so awesome, that it just all started as a friendship. It was so like innocent and like no malintentions whatsoever. Like I said, I was going through my own process at the time, closing a chapter. And, I was just focused on my work and everything else that I had to do, to get ahead. So, when we were chatting, one of the things that was at the time was Skype. So, like now we have, this, we have Zoom, we have all these things, but so we have WhatsApp and all, but back then it was Skype. So Skype allowed us to stay connected almost 24/7 at random times of the hour, whatever. And like we would stay in touch. We would send each other messages. And then like little by little, we just started kind of like connecting. We would share songs with each other, like sending YouTube links. And then it grew to like creating our own little album of our favorite songs. So, we would just share that with each other. But it was such an awesome thing to build a friendship first. And then all of a sudden the feelings started kicking in, and I was like, what is this that I'm feeling? Because I know this should not be happening. I mean, like, so many things were totally, not in our favor. Granted, he's from another country, and his family has his own, beliefs and the, different background. For my end, same here. So many things were like not in our favor, but um, little by little, it just kept progressing, and we ended up sharing, I'm digging you, you're pretty cool. And it went like that for like a year, just like that, back and forth. And then ultimately it progressed to something more deeper. He really wanted to, one of his words that marked me so much is that he said to me that he really wanted to be part of my life, regardless of whatever he is in my life, whether it's a friend or, more than a friend. He always wanted to remain in my life and to be part of my happiness, to, make me happy. And that was like, wow, like, it's very rare that you find people in life that really seek to fulfill that happiness in your life. And so, I'm like, what, he seems really legit. And I had the opportunity to go out to India, and we got to meet in person, and it was, from there, I would say it was history. But so now that's, kind of how we met and everything, how like the whole thing started. Now, to go back to your question number 2, how we married. So that's, skipping a few years. Then we married here in New Jersey. So he was able to come here to the States through work. He was able to get a visa. And now I just want to take a step back from this, because again, this is something for me that's a pivotal part of my life. So one of the things that in our relationship, I honestly used to fight and battle. And I used to tell God, I'm like, God, if this man is not for me, I trust you. And I just pray that you please let me know, show me a sign, remove him from me. I don't know what you have to do, but just please, I don't want to mess up anyone's lives. Like, I just want to do things right. I close a chapter, but, I want to make sure that this chapter is going to be right. So I don't want to do wrong. And every time, things just kept working more in our favor. Things kept, just changing, in our favor. And I was like, God, you sure that's you? You sure you're trying to tell me that this is going to work out? Because, like I said, like, it's just, things seemed like it was almost impossible to happen. So long story short, we got to the point where I was going to bring him as a fiance. And, we did all the paperwork and everything. I submitted the payment. And then I was like, hold up. I'm like, you know what? I don't feel that's right that I start making these steps. I really want to see God's hand in sealing this, and to see if it's really meant to be, because it's a gigantic step. Him to leave his country, his family, and come over here and leave all that behind and start a new family with me. I already had my son, and there's so much going on, and I'm like, it's a big risk. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to resend this, and I'm going to tell the immigration services, please just cancel it. You know what? And just see what's going to happen from there. So it was hard. Like, we kind of broke down at that for a moment, because we're like, well, what if this doesn't work out then? Like, I have already submitted everything. And I still have, to this day, I have a copy of that letter that immigration told me, we received your letter, your request, so we're going to cancel it. I was like, oh. But let me tell you, I mean, when we really submit to God and we submitted completely, I was able to see, and this is like a testimony for me to share, that within a matter of like less than 2 weeks, he got like called for an opportunity to come here with all the expenses paid and everything, and everything taken care of through our job. So I was like, wow, I'm like, all right, God, like, I think I trust you. Not that I think, but I was like, all right, I see this is your hand. This is your hand. because it wasn't me anymore. It wasn't me putting in and moving all around the paperwork. But to me, I felt that's you, God, doing what you had to do. And all I can say is that from then on, my life has never been, as filled and as happy, as strong, as successful. He is definitely an instrument of God for me in my life and for others, kind of like, what you were sharing, David. He definitely, he's very special. He's he's a good one. And definitely I know that God uses him in so many ways, but such a huge lesson for me was to learn to trust God. And sometimes we want to do things our way, but the best way is the way God has it written in his book for us. And, trust him. And so, that then the rest was history. Once he came here, we knew it was for something long term. So we weren't gonna like play around like, oh, he's my girlfriend, boyfriend. No, like, all right, let's get married, let's do this. And we did that. It was very low key, nothing huge. But it was it's been an awesome ride.
Oh, prima, and that's beautiful. And I have to ask, how this is the biggest trivia question I have to ask. Everybody wants to know. So, Krishna, coming from a background, a different faith, different religion, different culture, right? How did he what was the process like for him to transition to wanting to be Christian? Because that's a big step. That's that's a different world too, what was it like? Like, did you have to take him to church? Was that like the first step, or you guys read the Bible together? What was that process like? Because I know that's even for me, that's a big step. I can't even, I lost words.
Yeah, so you are right. It is a huge like game changer in life. I would say that the process started during our friendship. I would just share what I was learning. Like I said in the beginning, part of me, I'm always very involved, with church, and just I love just reading, the Word of God, and understanding it, and absorbing it, and then sharing it back out, and just hearing others people's understandings about it. I feel like that's that makes me be who part of who I am. So when we were building our friendship, I would just challenge, hey, I went to church and I had this class and we went over this and this and that, and this is pretty cool, and and he would listen to me, and it was so awesome to be able to kind of like plant that seed, and it wasn't even with the purpose of like, I'm going to tell him about this because I'm going to make sure that he converts. Never, ever. I think that's from my end, me coming to him and sharing with him. But then from his end, I would say he had an open heart. He always had an open heart, open ears. So he was like willing to learn more, to, just find out more. And the fact that he had that openness allowed my seed, when I would place in him, to grow and flourish from there. Because, from there on, it just, one thing after another. And it was a really beautiful transition, because it's not like I felt that I had to change him. I shared with him my thoughts, my beliefs. And I think that, what I was also living, what I was expressing to him, that also had a lot to do with what he was going to believe. Because if I'm coming to you, I'm telling you, I believe in, in a God who is powerful, who is healing, and all this and that. And if I'm showing you by coming to you and praying for you and declaring, that healing over you and all that, like, and that's going to be like, okay, you're not just saying it, you're also practicing what you're preaching. It's like, you're living it. So it becomes easier to kind of assimilate, the two. But, and then from there on, it just became easier. Then once he came here to the States, then, he met everyone who I had already spoken to him about. He met my pastor, he met, everyone from my church, and they received him so lovingly. And that's the other thing too, to be in an environment that is so welcoming and so loving is so important, for that process. And I feel that that is part of what helped him also transition, through that phase as well. But yeah, it has its challenges because, sometimes, you know, other people don't take it so easily like that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, big man. No, that's amazing, girl. It's and you're right. People, they see action more than words. Action, like they say, actions speak louder than words. And I feel like you sharing your faith, your basically your testimony, right, throughout meeting, Krishna, it inspired him to wanting to learn. And I remember when I used to fly in, and and
Our
we
talk.
yeah, we'll have our little deep talk. And
Hmm.
and I told Krishna, because Krishna, he had a lot of questions, and I loved his questions. One of his question I never forgot. He's like, "How do you feel about in a church, right? If let's say you had service, but if the service charges people food after service, right? It was a big one." He said, "What do you think about that?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna be honest, brother. I can only give you a perspective of what the Bible says and what I personally believe." So I told him, there's a part where Jesus, right? He's at the temple and people are um using it for business. You see people trading, gambling, whatever, right? And he flipped the tables. This is not a house of business, this is a house of prayer, right? And I said to him, in the Jewish faith, right? And I can't speak for all Christian churches, but for in the Jewish faith, we have service every day, 3 times a day. And every service, especially the morning, we have breakfast after service. And we never charge people for the food because we have the old perspective that this is not a place to discuss business. We're here to worship, and we're here to um be the light, to inspire people to, and I feel like when you get into money, it gets a little tricky, right? So, and I
Yeah.
share that expense the experience, and then I said that in Shabbat, right, which is a very special holiday for us, Friday night till Saturday night. We go to service all day. They make a big feast for everybody. No matter who you are, where you're from, you're gonna be provided with food. And I and he told me something interesting too. I'm if I'm not mistaken, he said that in India they do have places where people go and meditate, but if they have food, right, it's for everybody. Don't matter if you're poor or rich. There's food for people who go, right. So I really, and those kind of questions are good to ask, because you like with Christian, what I like, because he's coming from a different background, these things people don't really ask about because you've been practicing something for so long, right? For example, being a Jewish faith or Christian faith, it you
Yeah,
don't
falling into tradition.
exactly, because you've been accustomed to it,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And he asked me another question that I liked. It's a good question. He said, "What do you think about, so Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, and then he said, how is it possible that Cain found a wife if there was no one living in the world that time? It was just Cain and the wife and Adam, right? There's nobody else, right? Cain killed his brother, so I'm kind of stuck." He's like, "I have a question." I said, "Brother, you came to the right guy right here." That's why I was like the deep talk. And I told Krishna, I said, "Look, Krishna, in the Torah, it was written in Hebrew, the original text, right? If I were to read in English or Spanish, the translation lose its meaning, what it meant to say. We have the gist of what's it about, but we lose the hidden secret, right? And just like when you read the New Testament, you got to read in Greek because that's the original language, right? Um, So I told him in that story, right, with Cain and Abel, I said in our scripture, when you read it in Hebrew, um, Eve actually had four kids. She had two boys and three girls. And what happened was Cain married the sisters. That's why in the story, if you continue reading the story, um, Cain has his own place, like a new, you could say a town, but he has all the family that he built and prosper and multiply is through the siblings of Cain. And it was a good question. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people they don't ask about it. So I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, girl, I think your man, he's smart. He thinks outside the box. I love it. I think that's the only way you grow. If you don't question your faith, you can't grow.
Yeah,
It
that's right. And that also, like, something that's been a huge lesson to my life also is um learning to accept one another. Like, hey, like, you have your belief system, like, my primo, you have your belief system, I have mine, he came from his. But learning to accept, to tolerate, to love, and forgive one another, it's so huge, especially like in today's life, in today's society, where so many people are just living based on their own decisions, their own wants, their own um just on what they chose to become. And we have to learn to be okay with that. That doesn't mean that everything is always right or wrong, but one thing that Christian always told me, he's like, the bottom line is, what you are doing, is that going to hurt the person beside you? Like, what I'm doing, what I'm choosing to do, is that going to hurt or benefit someone else? So, like, we have to learn to come to like terms with ourselves. At what point, like, how do we accept one another? Like, we're all different. We come from different backgrounds. We have different faiths. We have different beliefs. We have different goals. We go through different processes, and we might be a certain way. We want to make it to, we want to transform, and maybe we're not able to yet, but we're going through that process of transformation. But we have to learn to be, to be sensitive and caring for one another, because at the end of the day, it's about how we learn to live with each other in in a healthy and safe environment for one another.
I love it, Prima. I just gotta make an announcement real quick. Fans out there, don't forget I do have my for those who don't know, I have a YouTube sitcom called Take One Pass It Back. Season 3 is coming out every
It,
Friday.
it's back. It's
It's
back.
back. It's back. It's like a reincarnation. I look a little
Better
bit.
than ever.
Yeah, there you go. Got everything you need: drama, romance, comedy. And this is the closing chapter after 7 years of the making, of working with 43 videos with the same cast. I think it's nice to finally finish it off. Like I said, every Friday. And now, Prima, I gotta ask you one last question before we wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to people that are in that stage about to get married? What would you give them? Like, what would you tell them?
Wow, that's a loaded question there. um, well, I guess from experience, just I know I wasn't very like direct about it, but this is this is my second marriage, so I had one experience, and now I'm living my second experience. Um, what I would share with people going through that, about to have that journey, is, from the beginning, know what you want, know who you are, and as you make that decision, that long-term life commitment, um try your best to make sure that that other person aligns with what you are trying to be, aligns with what, how you see yourself in the future. And one thing that I've learned is that a marriage is one. It's not, him and I, or, one and two, A and B. It's one. So when you go through that phase, always remember that if you're hurting, the other person is going to hurt as well. But it's so important that we speak up, that we stay open, that we stay true. Don't let go of all that, egotisticness where like, I'm not going to say nothing because, I don't want them to get upset. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your marriage. You're hurting them. Like, you're one. So this is what I'm saying again. Always remember, marriage is one. Every decision that you make is going to affect both of you because you're one. And don't be afraid of it. It's the most beautiful experience in your entire life, because at the end of the day, that's the person who's going to be beside you till the end. If you're going to get to have children and whatnot, it's beautiful. You get to live that process together, but they're going to grow up too. They're going to go and have their own lives. But then at the end of the day, who's going to be with you? Your partner, your spouse. And so, it's beautiful. It really is beautiful to have that privilege to be married, but never, ever forget that you are one, and there's no room for being selfish like that, but definitely first take care of you, be prepared and just work together as a team. But it's going to be an awesome, awesome time.
I love it, Prima. There you have it, guys. This is the Outlet to Reality, the holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago every Tuesday. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Ching! Y'all know where to find me. I'm on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, the Outlet to Reality. My Snapchat is Take One Pass It, and my TikTok is at Yaakov28. And Roxana, where can my fans find you?
They can find me at RKB Consulting LLC on Instagram. That's where I'm going to start working on building that platform, just to be there to share with everyone, between just some little knowledge for your startup businesses, just to be in tune what to expect from IRS. There's so many things happening, so many changes that could affect you as a small business owner, or just, someone who's trying to start up, your side business, your side hustle. What do you do with that money? Like, how do you report that? Like, should you report it? And is it bad to report? Like, all those different things that I could be, helpful little tips to help you just to get yourself a little more organized and more in the know, or through you. You let me know who reaches out to you. But thank you so much. This has been so much fun. It's been such a privilege, and I wish you all the best in all of your future episodes. And I'm so proud of you, David. Keep on shining like you always have been.
Thank you, Prima. Thank you, guys.
Love you, Prima. Love you.